Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. Today's guest is Dr. Fred Pescatore. Dr. Fred Pescatore is a New York Times best-selling author, most recognized for his books The A-List Diet, The Hampton's Diet, and Feed Your Kids Well. Fred Pescatore, MD, is a traditionally trained physician practicing nutrition in Manhattan. He has been internationally recognized as a health, nutrition, and weight loss expert. He's the president of the International and American Association of Clinical Nutritionists and a member of the American College for the Advancement of Medicine. And he belongs to many other professional organizations. He is a regular contributor to In Touch, US Weekly, First for Women, and Women's World magazines. And he's also been on major network television shows such as Extra, The View, Rachel Ray, and The Today Show. He is a sought-after expert in today's hard-to-navigate world of fitness and health. So I am very, very excited to welcome back the one, the only, Dr. Fred to the show. So glad to have you.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing introduction. I'm half of that.
Well, thank you. And for an amazing man, you really are quite the pioneer in the avenue of holistic health. And today's topic, you guys, we're going to dive into all the A's, the Alzheimer's, asthma, allergies, and anti-aging, which is near and dear to my heart as I start to increase in numbers. But I'm gonna reverse aging. I'm gonna go backwards.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's what we should all aim for, is to go backwards.
Yeah.
But you bring up a really good point about the whole anti-aging thing. I mean, everybody is so interested in that, and it's just it's a gigantic topic. But it all starts with diet, which I really think that's why I write the A-List Diet book or the Hampton's Diet book. And so it's to give people the tools where they need to start. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. And the way to anti-age correctly is to really look and examine your entire lifestyle and everything that you're doing, including, you talked about how hard it is to navigate health and fitness and all of that stuff. I mean, it's incredibly difficult to know everything from what you use in your home, what clothes you're wearing, how you clean your clothes, what you're cleaning your desktop with. I mean, it's amazing how many hazards and obstacles are out there in order for us to age correctly.
Well, just the air you're breathing, and then is it really organic? When I'm getting organic food, is it really organic? How does one know if they're really getting the organic food that they think they paid for?
Well, that's true as well. That's why I tend to tell people to just use farmers markets more than to use stores, because then you can at least ask them. You know the supplier, and you could ask the supplier. I'm not a big fan of these large, like Cal Organics and all of those places, because you really don't know. I am truly of the opinion that we don't know what we're getting. And I just read an interesting story yesterday about organic, I forget what it was, some sort of fruit. And it was the fact that it had the same amount of, what was it? It had the same amount of poison in it that an organic one did as well. So you're not getting, so you even have to be careful about, if you're trying to buy organic to stay away from the poisons, you're not necessarily even staying away from the poisons, let alone getting something that's organic. And I wish I could remember, I was reading so much yesterday. I did like 1 million TV interviews yesterday, and all I did was talk all day. So I'm kind of sick of listening to myself. I don't remember which one exactly I was telling about. But anyway, it's really hard to navigate food aisles. It's hard to navigate personal care product aisles. I mean, it's getting more and more difficult. But I think, people like you do an amazing job of reaching out to the consumer and reaching out to people and getting them to do what we think might be healthier for them, because that's all sometimes people need, is a little push. and or just a little bit of the right direction, and then they'll take it from there.
Yeah, I always try to spoon feed the people that come to me in my fitness studio and get them where they are and just give them a little bit each time that they come so they can digest it, which is why I really love, I was watching all of your YouTube videos that you have online before this, and I love them because they're like 2-minute sound bites about how we can become healthier, and it's digestible for me. I have that 2 minutes to learn a healthy tip so I can implement some self-care into my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's really why I started doing them, is because, you realize we've been doing this long enough. I've been writing books for 26 years. People want the short version. They just want the take-home message, and that's why I love doing those things. And yeah, I shot like 25 of them yesterday, so there'll be a lot more to come up on the website. But getting back to our original topic, because we were talking about aging, Alzheimer's, cancer, allergies, asthma. It's really interesting. I just recently put together this whole, what I'm calling like my master class protocol. So it's got like all these giant diseases, all sort of kind of, each one will give you a class as to what you need to do from terms of diet, nutritional supplementation, lifestyle changes, all of that. So you can really mix and match these sort of master class ideas of what you need. You may not need what I need, and vice versa. So I'm kind of excited about that. And interestingly enough, that's also what I was doing yesterday, getting ready for that, because that's next Sunday, I think.
Oh, is it? You're going to have a class? How can people sign up for that?
If they go to my website, drpescatore.com, they could sign up there.
Okay. I also noticed, just to put it out there for everybody, that you have an Alzheimer's download, so they can basically see what the things are that they could do nutritionally to ward off Alzheimer's. As we start to age, we still want to, maybe you look good, but you still want to be sharp mentally too, right?
Of course you do. I mean, yes, we can. It's so easy to look good these days, right? I mean, you can go down to the block and everybody's got an injection and a syringe to fill your face, right? So you look good, but it's really harder to maintain your brain, and that's really what we're trying to do. Is I think all of us want to maintain our health, our brain health. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest concerns most of my patients have, is how do I keep my brain functioning? And it's so funny because for women, especially menopause and perimenopause, the things most women complain about now is the lack of focus and brain, as opposed to when I first started this, it was hot flashes. Now it's like, forget about it. Yeah, they're like, I can live with those. I just can't. I need my brain. I can't think. And it's really hard. That perimenopausal time of life when women don't have that focus. So can you imagine what that would be like to have it for 20, 30 years? I mean, I think it's really sad, which is why I have this whole reversing Alzheimer's protocol, or whatever I call it.
Yeah, that's what it is. You can get that at drfredpescatore.com.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, these things, I like giving away information for free. It's kind of fun.
What are some tips because I was reading a lot on this today, and it was quite fascinating that you could tell 10 years in advance if you're going to possibly come down with Alzheimer's. What are some tips and tests that people can do and take to help prevent this?
Well, I think, the interesting part of it, and what you do and promote, is a very important part of preventing cognitive decline, which is fitness and exercise. I mean, that's study after study after study shows us that is the one thing that will slow down cognitive decline, is fitness and exercising. So I think that's super important, and please keep doing it, and please keep telling everyone in the world, because all I do is talk about exercise, and people look at me like well, what else can I do? Isn't there a pill I can take? There's nothing better for your brain than exercising. So there's one thing that you can do, and you could start, and it's never too late to start. It really is not. Anybody can get fit if they put their minds to it. So that's something that they can do. Keeping your brain healthy is also things like doing crossword puzzles, Sudoku, things that make your brain cross the blood-brain, not go from left to right brain. So you've got to keep your neurons working, and that's really important. So if you can do simple tests, like the test I like to have people do, and it's not like the mini mental status exam, which is kind of silly, but there are definitely tests that you can do, including blood tests, to find out your inflammatory markers. Because Alzheimer's disease, like everything else, allergies, asthma, all the things we want to talk about, they're all comes down to one thing, which is chronic inflammation. And you can test for chronic inflammation in your blood. Your doctors can actually test for it. There's high sensitive C-reactive protein, SED rate, fibrinogen levels, homocysteine levels. I mean, those are things that you should be having done all the time, on a very regular basis. And those are sort of the biomarkers to tell whether the inflammation is high, low, or whether it's going to actually get into your brain or not.
So I was reading recently that they were finding plaque in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. And now I know plaque when I brush my teeth. Is this, is this coming from my arteries? Is this coming from, where is this coming from that we're getting plaque in the brain?
It's a completely different plaque system. It's a beta amyloid plaque. It's not a cholesterol plaque. I don't believe in cholesterol anyway. And I'm going to say something that's probably a little controversial, but those plaques are kind of meaningless. It's almost like cholesterol plaques are meaningless. Like they're after the story. Like cholesterol comes in to help fix your artery, because your artery has been damaged by oxidative stress, by all sorts of things. And the cholesterol comes in to help heal that artery. Just the same way I believe in the brain is that these amyloid plaques come in to help heal the neurons, because there's something not right before those plaques show up. And that's why a lot of the science, a lot of the drug science even, is so notoriously bad, because they've been focusing on that plaque that they can't get rid of or fix. So they're all wrong, because really what it is how do our neurons talk to each other? And that's why we have these M1 receptors, and they're very, very prevalent in the brain. We've got M1 through M5 receptors, but M1 is most present in the brain, and it's especially important in the hippocampus, which is where our memory is stored. And so we've got to make sure that those neurons keep continuing to fire correctly and to communicate with each other. And that's why there's a nutritional supplement called Blue Ness, which is lemon balm extract. It's made in Germany, and it specifically works helping the M1 receptors to keep talking to each other, because that's where the breakdown is. And even in conventional pharma land, they're actually going beyond the plaques, because they realize there's something happening before the plaques that's causing Alzheimer's and memory loss and dementia. And it's not the plaques. The plaques are sort of the innocent bystander, so to speak. There's something else going on, and it's got to do with M1, and I'm certain there's going to be an M1 receptor drug soon, because it's got to do with the whole acetylcholine receptors and things like that. So there are lots of supplements people can take for brain health and dementia, but Blue Ness is one of my favorites for sure, because of the M1 connection there.
Okay, awesome. We'll have to put that in the show notes so people know where to get it. I was also reading that heart disease was a big indicator of early onset Alzheimer's, that there was a correlation. Now, how does your heart relate then to this whole scheme of things with Alzheimer's?
Well, that relates much more directly, because if you have heart disease, you have circulatory damage. So you have some sort of circulation that's not working right. So that goes for anybody with high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, if they have any blockages or things like that, or carotid artery disease, if they have any blockages in their carotid arteries. So that sort of thing is strictly a microcirculation problem. So that means when you have high blood pressure, when you and your blood pressure is not well controlled, or you eat really badly, which most Americans do anyway. You eat too much sugar, that sort of thing. That causes microcirculation inflammation, which then causes, again, the microcirculation, your heart, your hands, your eyes, your kidneys, all of that, causes that to go out of whack. So having early onset heart disease will relate to having early onset dementia, because that same process is happening in the brain. So if your microcirculation, and this is especially common in diabetics, so if your little blood vessels, which is all I mean by microcirculation, it's little blood vessels, if little blood vessels are breaking down, they cause parts of the brain to die. So when those parts of the brain die, you can never get the brain, it never comes back. So that's why heart disease is related, that's an early indicator that something could be going on with your brain as well.
So then that all goes back to diet, because a lot of that could be prevented by having a good diet and a good exercise plan.
Absolutely, without a doubt. All of this, people like to think that this is all such complicated stuff, right? And in some respects it is, but it's really so simple. Fix your diet. Get rid of all the junk that you possibly can. Nobody needs to be eating sugar. Nobody needs to be eating white breads and white pasta and white rice and all of that stuff. That does nothing but cause oxidative stress to the body. That is what's doing it. I mean, that is the underlying, and we know this. I mean, this has been proven clinically. It's been proven in animals, because we don't really take humans and dissect them to open up to see what oxidative stress is happening. But you can see eating sugar directly causes, that's the largest cause of oxidative stress to the arterial cell wall. And that's when bad things happen throughout your entire body, because our arteries is what brings blood and fresh blood, because the arteries bring all of the blood with oxygen in it. So now, that's why it's so important.
Is this all sugars? I mean, like natural sugars too included?
Yeah, see, natural sugars, and you have to remember, and people forget this too, is that sugar is a natural plant, right? We don't create sugar. Sugar, it grows out of the ground.
Sugar cane.
So it's natural as it gets. What we do to it, as
we
another
kind of destroy it, but yeah.
like we do everything. So yeah, you really have to look at the way your body processes sugar, and your body processes sugar in no matter where it's from, in the same exact way. So
I was really fascinated recently with a client that I had that I really believe she has leaky gut syndrome. And so we're working on healing her gut, because what happened, and you're going to probably relate to this, is she went to the doctor, and because she had low acid, they started giving her all these things that kill off acid, which was, I think she should have just done a different route, like HCl, some digestive enzymes. And so she did.
Tell people what HCl is. HCl is actually acid.
Right. She needs more acid.
Exactly. So that's the, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
oh, no, I'm going to have you address that once I finish this little story. So basically they gave her all of this stuff to kill off the acid in the stomach. And it did a whole host of other things, none of them which were good. And basically now she has fibromyalgia, her joints all hurt, because she wasn't digesting her food, not eliminating her, properly. And then it's all storing as toxins. So as soon as we got her on a good eating plan, what do you think happened?
She felt better.
Yeah, her joints didn't hurt. They didn't ache. She started eliminating, more than once every 3 days. And so, I mean, it's amazing. And so it was so much so that when she went off of her plan, she told me for a few days, she was like, oh my God, Linda, I'm so glad I did that, because it just showed me how right on track this is, healing my gut, taking probiotics, doing all the protocol, getting rid of sugar, and taking some of my digestive enzymes. And so.
Yeah, it's really, it's not really rocket science. It's really simple. I mean, our grandmothers or great grandmothers at this point were right. You are what you eat. that old adage is you definitely are what you eat. And unfortunately, our food supply is so damaged that we have no choice but to really pay even more attention than we used to. You used to be able to go to a regular supermarket and have good food. Now you go to a supermarket and it's like, yikes, get me out of this like toxic world. It's really hard to be in a supermarket these days, but you're absolutely right. It's really, and I think, people look at you, they look at me and they think, oh, it's easy for them. It's easy for them to say, exercise and eat right. Just look at them. But it takes work to do this. I mean, we don't look like this if we didn't exercise all the time.
Oh gosh,
no way. We do all the time. I mean, we watch it all the time. And so I don't think we're asking people to necessarily be, and this is not the right word, as fanatical about it as we are. But I think you can take baby steps to really improve your health dramatically.
And I have to say this again, is the more that I get women in the studio that are doing the protocol and doing these plans, they come back to me and they're like, I don't ever want to go back to eating that way. They get fanatical because they start feeling so great. They start looking so great and they get the added benefits of that. And I think if you can get past the point of feeling miserable and not feeling good to feeling better, that's when you get a hook to it,
Well, that's when change can occur, right? I mean, you go to the doctors and everybody tells you, oh, you've got Alzheimer's disease. There's nothing we can do for you. Oh, you've got cancer. We've got to burn and poison you and all of that stuff. Oh, you've got arthritis. Just take more Tylenol or take opioids. Why not? Everyone else in America is. It becomes this almost, why am I bothering going to the doctor if all they're going to do is give me medicine and then give me more medicine for the side effects of the medicine? So it becomes really almost like PTSD in a way. Like you're afraid to ask for help because the help you've gotten has only damaged you and harmed you more.
Worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really difficult. So I don't put the blame on people at all. It's just I wish people would just be a little bit more open to the fact that, it might be a little hard at the beginning to give up whatever, the bread, the pasta, whatever you love, the ice cream. It might be a little hard at the beginning, but after a while, who even thinks about that stuff anymore? I mean, okay, let me take that back. I think about ice cream every single day, but I don't eat it. I eat it maybe 4 times a year, but I do think about it every single day. But you can do this. Everybody can do this, folks. Everyone.
Yeah, the ice cream thing. I did make a user-friendly keto ice cream with, believe it or not, it was, I think, mint chocolate chip. So I used cacao, I used avocado, which is what made it green,
right?
Coconut milk, and I believe I used coconut palm sugar, which is a little less of the evils. It's not as high on the glycemic index. Right. But, so you can make some healthier treats. Ice cream, I would say, is going to be clogging your arteries. So that's one thing you gotta
get rid of
on the down low.
As delicious as it is, thank God I have the willpower to not take it anymore.
Take the ice cream. Well, what is somebody you would tell? I mean, like if they're middle aged, they're getting all this around the middle. They have, I think, gut issues. Besides having a gut, they have gut issues probably. What are some ways that they can work on getting that under wraps besides the eating, like supplementation? What can they do to help their gut get healthy?
Well, I mean, I think you bring up a good point, and that's another indicator of inflammation. It's also another indicator that you could be prone for Alzheimer's disease, because having weight around the midsection is really where all of our, what we call inflammatory cytokines, that's where they all live. So they love having fat around the midsection. And they feed off of that. And that's where all of these inflammatory processes come. And that's why our bodies are laden with inflammation. And so if you fix the leaky gut, which is what you're talking about, you're going to lose weight. I mean, there's no way you can't lose weight while you're fixing your leaky gut. So there are various ways of doing it. Diet is, of course, the first. And then secondary, you need a good probiotic. Then you also need some like really gut cleansing stuff. Like I love aloe and marshmallow and slippery elm and glutamine and all of those things to really help repair the gut and then replace it with the good bacteria again so that your body starts colonizing with good, healthy bacteria. Because healthy bacteria and the way the bacteria eat actually affects the way we put on weight or don't put on weight. I was reading something about where they have a life cycle as well. So, they have a circadian rhythm. So there's times of the days that they like to eat as opposed and that eating when they like to eat. Oh, here's what it was exactly. I'll tell you what it was exactly. It is, they did it in a study that looked at gut bugs. And it looked at those, they tried intermittent fasting on some of them. And they tried regular, 3 to 4 meals a day, 3 meals with a couple snacks, intermittent fasting. And then I think it was just 2 groups, intermittent fasting. And so those that were starved were more efficient at energy production. They were more efficient at weight loss, at maintaining their weight. So these bugs, actually like working in a way that we're all starting to think is really the healthiest way of going anyway, if we wanted to go the next step, which was intermittent fasting and all of that stuff. So it's really fascinating to me that the Gut Microbiome Project, which, the NIH actually funded, is giving us so much information and insight into our health. But it really is the gut, and your gut and brain are completely and 100% connected.
Yeah, it's like your second brain, right? Your gut.
Without a doubt. And if you don't take care of your gut, I mean, that's where your immune system cells are formed. That's where your happy chemicals are formed, that serotonin and all of that stuff that people take countless millions of antidepressants every year for. So you got to take care of your gut. And I think, and when you and I talk about taking care of your gut, it's not necessarily about losing weight and about being thin. It's about getting your gut healthy so that you eliminate regularly, so that you don't get bloating and gas, so you don't feel, I mean, that's not normal, folks. It's not normal to feel unwell after you put something in your mouth. You should put something in your mouth, taste it, it should really feel good as it's being eaten, and then you should forget all about it. Like, you should not have to be, I have to take this, I have to take that, I have to take, it's just not. I mean, nobody should be on those little purple pills or anything like that. You just don't need to do that when your gut is healed. And that's why I think you and I spend so much time trying to teach people how to heal a leaky gut and how to do that, because that's so critical to decreasing, and we'll circle back to what I started with, which is decreasing inflammation. You'll never decrease inflammation if you don't have a healthy gut. There's just no way. Can't do it.
Yeah, because also, doesn't that contribute to you having food allergies in the first place?
Absolutely. It's just this vicious circle of food allergies, food sensitivities, inflammation, chronic inflammation. I mean, we talked about, my book, The Allergy and Asthma Cure. You can absolutely cure allergies and asthma by all it is fixing your leaky gut. It's a book that tells you how to fix your leaky gut. If I had to boil it down to one sentence.
I love that.
Cirrhosis, psoriasis, eczema, all of those things go away when you have a healed gut. It's really...
what about acne? Is that like, do you know much about acne? I mean, is this also from your gut health, or is it just basically like a bacteria on the skin?
It's 2 things, right? So it's bacteria on the skin. It's 3 things. It's either bacteria on the skin, hormonal, or gut related. So you have to look at all 3 of those issues to see which, obviously, if you have to do with I always start everybody on a good diet. And then you have to check the hormone levels on both men and women to see, if there's too much testosterone in women, that can cause acne. In men, if there's too much DHT testosterone, that can cause acne. So you look at those variables on simple blood tests, and then it's, if it is a bacteria, why would you be getting the bacteria in the first place if your gut were healthy? Because then your body's fighting off bacteria or keeping the good bacteria. So I kind of get worried about people who chronically, chronically using those antibacterial gels and stuff. Because those aren't necessarily good for you. We're supposed to have bacteria on our bodies. That bacteria is protecting our skin, it's protecting our insides. And when you remove it all the time, it's like removing the first layer of defense against disease is by getting rid of that bacteria layer that we have protecting us.
I agree. I think you have to get your hands dirty once in a while so that you can be healthy. And I have to go back to, our sponsor has this amazing soap, Dr. O'Hara's. They have like Essential Formulas carries like all these products. And I'm just going to name some of them off because they are my favorite products. And I love the soap that they have, which is, it's a probiotic soap. So, if you're taking the probiotic, ingesting it, taking that, and also using the soap, I found it went a long way for people that had any type of acne to helping them. And at least in my experience with people that have come in my studio. And I also love besides their probiotics, I love their Reg Active, which is a little bit of a different probiotic. And I've heard you speak about it. Why do you like the Reg Active?
Well, I like Reg Active because it's not meant to take the place of your probiotic. It's again, thanks to that microbiome project, we now know what specific bugs do. So this Reg Active is ME3. So that's the name of the bug, ME3. And we know that what it does is to help glutathione recycle in the body. Glutathione is our body's most important antioxidant. It's produced in the liver. It decreases, of course, as we get older, and it helps fight infections, cancer, all of that stuff. So we need good glutathione levels in our body. So that's why Reg Active is so important. It's such an important part of my practice is because I was looking for ways of increasing people's glutathione levels without having to give them intravenous glutathione. Because I'm not, you can give intravenous glutathione, it works great. But A, how many people can afford that? B, they have to come in regularly for it. If they could just take Reg Active at home that does that for them, I think it's fantastic. So I was never a big fan of any of the other glutathione products on the market, like those that try to be liposomal glutathione and this and that and the other thing. I was never a big fan. But using Reg Active, I measure my patients' glutathione levels before they come in the door or when they come in the door. And I'll measure it 3 to 6 months later, and I know that it goes up. So I know it works. So that's why, and that's why I love Dr. O'Hara's products in the first place. Even the probiotics. It's scientifically researched. We know that it works. It's multi-strain. It helps you and I to produce our own different bacteria. It's a live system. I think it's amazing. And it's really going to help with your leaky gut.
And I think it's extremely, extremely important. I just want to stress this again. If you guys have taken antibiotics, and it is the flu season, so I know that it's rampant right now, you need to take some probiotics because it affects you for like 1 to 2 years after you've just had one course of antibiotics.
People don't realize that, how long this stuff can, and how many people don't go every 3 or 4 months taking antibiotics. They're always taking them for something.
They're always taking them for something. It's way overused. Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's half the reasons why I think, it's overused in our food supply. If you go out to dinner and don't eat something organic, you're eating antibiotics. Unless you're eating fish. Wild caught fish.
I was going to say,
farm-raised fish have antibiotics.
Oh yeah, you don't want to eat the farm raised. That's there's just so much bad going on there that That would be a whole nother podcast.
For sure, for sure. But so, we get antibiotics everywhere. So even if you're someone who says, I never take an antibiotic, well, if you don't eat 100% organically and know where your food is coming from, you're eating antibiotics. Trust me.
So you should be on a probiotic all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't be without one. I take them every single day. I take them everywhere I go. I mean, that's the beauty of Dr. O'Hara's, is because it's live and it doesn't need to be refrigerated, which is great. So that's why I have that everywhere I go. So yeah, have to every day. I have people usually take one a day. I have, if they have a healthy gut. If they have an unhealthy gut, I have them take usually 4 or 5 a day till their gut gets under control.
Right. Yeah, you have to start with a higher dose if you're, yeah. And one of the things, again, that I liked about Dr. O'Hara's Plus with the probiotic was it creates your own natural good bacteria in your gut, which most probiotics do not do.
Nope, they don't. And that's really a beautiful thing, because because we each have our own different set of bacteria and they're not the same. And Dr. O'Hara's is able to do that. And the other interesting thing is that, the bacteria that's in the crease of your arm is different than the bacteria that's on your wrist. I mean, we've got so much bacteria. Well, we have trillions of bacteria living on us and in us. That we have more bacterial cells than we have human cells. So it's really important that, like that probiotic soap that you were talking about, balancing your own blend of probiotics. But here's something I just want to throw out there, because it's the new buzzword, is prebiotics. Everybody's talking about, I need a prebiotic, I need a postbiotic. Well, guess what? Dr. O'Hara's has prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics already in there. So Dr. O'Hara's was way ahead of his time when he developed and did this product, as opposed to those freeze-dried things that now they want you to add in a prebiotic to that. Well, you don't have to if you take Dr. O'Hara's, So not that I want this to be a Dr. O'Hara show, but,
I think it's important. You guys have no idea how many people this week alone have been asking me, what is that probiotic you keep talking about? I mean, it's been a topic this week, because I guess they're getting their gut health checked. They're taking these antibiotics. They're sick. They're wondering why they're getting sick all the time. And so, there's some natural things you can do to help yourself along so you don't continually get sick, which is to help your immune system too, right?
Well, you have to help your immune system, because your immune system will help your brain as well. So again, we're circling back to where we're originally going to talk about Alzheimer's and brain health, but you have to decrease inflammation. That's really the be all and end all of modern medicine, in my mind, is if you beat inflammation and keep it at bay, you're not going to get anything else. Everything else is going to be, you'll get a cut and a scratch. I can't correct, having inflammation is not, decreasing your inflammation is not going to take care of that. But you really have to make sure your inflammation is down. And with people, and the other point is, I think people are also talking more and more about this now, is because we're also getting ready for bikini season. I mean, it's March. I mean, at some point this cold will go away for those of us who live in the cold parts of the country. But yeah, I mean, it's already the middle of March, and people are going to go on spring break, and then it's only 2 months till Memorial Day, so people have to get beach ready. So that's where that's why we always call March sort of is really the prime dieting season. That's when most people come to see me just strictly to lose weight. It's in March. They want to get ready for the bikinis.
Well, what are some of the tips that you give them? Let's say they're going on spring break and they want to look good when they go to the beach. What are some easy tips for the listeners today?
Well, the easy tips, if you're going on spring break, is really make sure if you can cut out alcohol out of your diet for even a week, there's 5 pounds right there. That's an easy 5 pounds to drop. Make sure you're well hydrated. That also increases your body's metabolism. And cut out anything, any sugar, any fruit, any white bread. Eat protein, vegetables only, and you'll drop weight. I mean, I have a great detox that I have in the A-List diet book that I think I probably have online somewhere. It's a 7-day fast. It's not a fast, but it's a 7-day detox that most people lose anywhere from 5 to 14 pounds in that week. It's pretty, I mean, 14 obviously would be for a man, but most women will lose 5 pounds for that completely, easily. So there are some things you could easily do when you're getting ready for spring break in a couple weeks.
There you go. And where can they get this again? The A-List diet?
Oh, you can get the A-List diet book, anywhere. You can get it on Amazon, anywhere where they sell books. But if you go to alistdietbook.com, alistdietbook.com, that's sort of the book that's my website that's dedicated directly for dieting and weight loss. And then it's drpescatore.com. That's where you can find out about the Blue Nest we were talking about, the reversing of the aging protocols, the masterclass. And the masterclass I'm only gonna let it have 300 people in it. So you got to get signed up early for that. But in any event, I think there are so many interesting and great sources of information. And my website, I've been writing. How long I've been in the writing field. I've been writing.
Oh my gosh, I was looking at all your books today. Yeah.
So there's so much information for free that you can get on my website that you can just scroll through the archives. It's really super fun. So I certainly urge people to do that.
And I love that. And I love how much, besides, talking the talk, you're walking the walk. And it shows, because you just look vibrantly healthy and, alive, very sharp,
Thank you. As do you. I'm very impressed when I see your stuff posted on Facebook.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I have to say, we were talking about mental, like being sharp mentally. And recently, my husband and I signed up for this improv class here in Cincinnati. Great. Yeah. And I will tell you, you had to be on your toes. You were definitely working your brain, because they give you all these games and drills. Besides dancing, I think that would be almost the next best thing to keeping your brain sharp, besides these puzzles and games.
I love that, actually. That's a great idea, because it's true. You have to stay so focused, and you have to stay so in the moment. Your brain can't sort of think about other things, because improv. That's really great. I love that idea.
And we laughed so hard. Laughed. We had the best medicine. We were laughing the whole entire time, because it's just, they keep putting you in these situations and it's just hysterical. And I only went because I am going to start speaking, and I was like, I need to just get used to just being up there. Right. And but my husband is the true funny guy.
I'm sure you guys played off of each other very well. That's something I would have liked to have seen, but that's a beautiful suggestion. I'm going to use it. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah. You could probably sign up for something like that in New York City. I'm
sure. That's why I'm going to start telling people all about it.
No telling who you might meet there.
That's right. You never know. Some other crazy people who want to.
Well, I have so enjoyed having you on. It's always a treat. I always learn so much from you. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to everybody about all things health.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so very much. It's been amazing. And thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for what you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thanks, everybody, for listening to the Sisterhood of Sweat. And make sure you guys review this in iTunes and let Dr. Fred know how much you absolutely love this episode. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Thank you.